guests this week. The boys from Blake have just released their new album. It's called Start Over, and I caught up with Blake last week.
Good morning.
Morning, how's life?
Very good.
We're awake on a Sunday morning, which is a miracle, so it's all good.
Grateful for small mercies, aren't we? So let's introduce everyone. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, and Wiltshire born and bred Ollie.
Hey, good morning, Graham.
Morning to you, and Humphrey as well.
Good morning.
Hold on but a moment. There's only three of you.
Yes, that's very... I was very observant of you.
Hold on a minute. Yes. Now, where's our friend Jules? What's happened? Bring us up to date with the Blake story and what's happened to Jules?
Well, it's Sunday morning. I think Jules is in bed because he's been working very hard. Basically, Jules, for those who don't know Blake, as one of the founding members, Blake has been going for 6 years or so now. And Jules, before Blake, had studied to be an actor, and about 8 or 9 months ago, I think he felt he really wanted to go off and pursue that avenue after 6 great years with Blake. So he's actually been offered a part on Holby City, which he has jumped at, as any man would.
Yes, you would, absolutely. Yeah.
So, it's very, very exciting for him, and it was a bit of a surprise to a certain degree, and obviously quite sad to lose him, because he's a dear friend and a valued member, but it's actually injected a lot of new life into the group, and we're feeling sort of excited and positive for it, so everything's good.
He's going to be Dr. Harry Tresler in Holby City. Is he going to make a good doctor? Has he got a good bedside manner?
His role, he told us about what his role is, and Dr. Harry Tresler is, quote-unquote, this is from the BBC, not us, a arrogant public schoolboy love rat.
Well, it's perfect casting then, isn't it?
Oh!
I'm joking, of course.
We couldn't possibly agree with that.
I'm sure you were going in a different direction. Actually, it's very funny. We said in one of our early stage shows of the year, when Jules had first left, we said to the audience that Jules had gone to become a doctor in Holby City, and this wonderful old lady came up afterwards and said, "Oh, I always knew he'd go and do something like being a doctor. He was such a caring person."
So if he does get up on a plane when there's an emergency, just push him back down again. He's not allowed to operate on you.
Doesn't really know. He's only pretend. Now, I remember, you've been in on the show several times now, and I remember very, very early days of Blake when we were talking. I mean, kind of pre-Humphrey, really.
Yes.
What
Tom was in.
Can you remember a time before Humphrey?
Well, I prefer not to. I certainly can't. And I can't
Remember
imagine.
last Sunday?
Blake BH, really, before Humphrey.
I know, it's been extraordinary. I mean, I've been in the group now 4 years. Blake's been going 6
Is
years.
it 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Almost to the day, really. I came in sort of mid to late February 4 years ago, so it's been extraordinary. And
see, what I'm interested in is, you were recruited. Are you going to look for a fourth member, or are you going to carry on as a trio?
Well, we have sort of thought about it, and there were a period of a few weeks where we met some great people.
I can hold a note.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, you might have missed a bit. I don't know. We'll listen to you. Private audition, perhaps, next week.
All right.
But what we found was when we had to do a few concerts with three of us, and we worked very hard to fill in the bits where Jules would have been doing stuff, so we've all had to do a lot more singing. But it has really energised the show, because, we have to move around a lot more and be more dynamic. But also fans have said that there's something about 3 people on stage and 3 voices where you can pick out a much more individual character on each person, rather than 4 where you're presented with often 2 and 2 or a bit more of a crowd. And whether or not they're just being very supportive and kind or not, I don't know. But there is something to be said for it, and it's made us all wake up a bit. So we don't know. At the moment, we're very happy as a 3.
I think you're so well established as Blake as well. I think, you've been going for 2 years when Humphrey came in, as you said. I think it would be very difficult for a new member to establish themselves coming in now.
I think so. I mean, I joined at an interesting time, which was, Blake had done 2 records, been to Universal Records, just left Universal Records. So it was very much a transition period for Blake. And I think in a touring sense, Blake's touring hadn't really kicked off in a huge way. And I joined just as we started a national UK tour, and
it was in fact our first solo tour.
And now, as you say, we're so in the groove of doing hundreds of shows in the UK and around the world that to bring someone in now would be a big demand. And it's also an interesting role, because you've got to be able to sing classical, you've got to sing pop, you've got to be a soloist, you've got to be an ensemble, and you've got to get on with the guys in the band. So I think
it's never easy.
Trust me, it's not easy. Trust me. But you look at the Bee Gees. I mean, the Bee Gees are a three-man band, and they're seen as one of the great vocal harmony groups of all time.
I have to interject and say "were," unfortunately.
Well,
sadly.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, let's talk about the new album, Start Over. In fact, I tell you what, we'll play the title track, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the other songs that you've recorded for Start Over. Blake are with me, I'm delighted to say, here at BBC Wiltshire, and this is the title track of the new album. It's available now, and it's called Start Over. And Start Over at BBC Wiltshire, title track of the new album. It's available now. Check out iTunes and Amazon to get your copy of Start Over. Stephen, Ollie, Humphrey from the group are here. You've got some fantastic songs on here from some fantastic songwriters. People like our friend Simon May, of course. One of my favourite songwriters, Diane Warren. You've got a number of her songs on here. How did you select these 14 songs?
We actually we got sent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs from all over the world by different songwriters, some from Scandinavia, some from the UK, some from America, and we started going through them. We were listening to all the various demos, and it was just based on songs which just stuck out to us as having great melodies and the opportunity for putting good harmonies in as well. And when the Diane Warren songs came to us, we were amazed, because first of all, Diane Warren has won Grammy Awards. She's really one of the finest American songwriters living at the moment, and to have the opportunity to do some of her songs is a big honour for us, really. So those were awesome to have. But I think the big thing for us is that a lot of people know us for our covers as much as anything, really. They know that we do harmony versions of songs they already love.
You make them your own.
We do. We Blakeify them, if that could be a word.
It's not.
It is now.
Even go there.
Let's add it into the Oxford English Dictionary.
Absolutely.
Blakeify something.
Blakeified.
Alongside Kafkaesque and things like that. I think we need it. We need it in the dictionary. But no, it's great fun working on songs and adding our own particular style. And we've done that with "Make You Feel My Love," which was obviously a song which Adele has covered before us.
Yes, very famously.
And did a fantastic job of, but we wanted to be the first group to do a harmony version of that. And we pared it down, and it's very acoustic. It's got some fantastic slide guitar, and it's very, very emotional.
Well, it's also because we have to be very aware of what people want to hear new in the show. So when we do an album, you're always thinking, okay, well, look, we could do a cover of this that would work very well live because people adore the song. Why not record it as well? Otherwise, there has to be a crossover between what we do on a theatre stage and what we do in an album. And also, people want to take home what they've heard of that evening. So it's nice to mix it up and to keep some covers in there as well as all the new material that we've got.
Now, as a group, you seemingly are constantly touring, performing live, not just in the UK, literally around the world. I think it's probably been about a year since we had you as guests on the programme here. Where have you been? Just a few of the countries you played in the last year.
Let's do it the other way around. And where haven't we been?
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot in Asia, so we've been doing a lot in the Philippines, a lot in China. We've been out to the US. We just came back at the end of last year. We did a tour in the Philippines, onto New Zealand, onto Hawaii. We've been in Florida, Naples.
We were in Russia. That was quite good fun. We were in Italy. We were in... My God, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if you've got the same kind of thing on Facebook where you can kind of click the places you've been.
Yes.
And over the last 6 years, because obviously we kind of got together on Facebook and we use it a huge amount. And over the last 6 years, I've been checking in at all those various places that we've been.
The map's pretty red now.
It's incredible to look at. It looks like the British Empire circa around 1900.
We had a very busy end of the year. I mean, in the 4 weeks at the end of November up to Christmas, we had 16 flights, I think. So,
wow.
It's been fun.
We're kind of flying the British flag. It was actually fascinating because we were touring in China during the Olympics. So we saw the opening ceremony here in London, and then we flew out on the Sunday. And it's actually quite interesting sometimes being a Brit abroad, because during the Olympics, the number of people who came up to us in airports, and even Chinese, when we were in Beijing and Shanghai, and just said, you must be so proud. it was better than the Beijing opening ceremony.
Wow.
And it's lovely sometimes to be a Brit and be flying the flag and hopefully putting out a good British product.
It's good to hear.
And getting people's reactions.
You, as I say, constantly touring. We've got a bit of a wait, but I'm sure it would be worthwhile. You're coming to Salisbury, you're coming to Wiltshire in October. The date is Thursday, the 10th of October, as Blake play the City Hall in Salisbury. Let me give you the box office number, because you want to get a ticket early to make sure you get one. 01722 434 434 for Blake in Salisbury, Thursday the 10th of October. A night with Blake. Give us just a taste. For anyone that's not actually seen you perform live, what can they expect?
They can expect the most eclectic mix of music they will ever have heard in their lives.
There's a quote.
And I'm not reading that off a sheet of paper. I just made that up. I just copyrighted it too. No, it is very eclectic. It reflects, I guess, a lot of people's music taste, because we mix together big classical anthems, and we mix in rock, we mix in pop, we've got musicals, there's lots of covers, there's some original songs, and it's mixed all together. It's all kind of glued together, as it were, with a lot of comedy banter between the three guys. We know each other very well. We know how to take the mickey out of each other on stage brilliantly, but we include the audience in that as well, in so much that we take the mickey out of the audience sometimes as well, especially if they're late. If they come in late, they're doomed.
I think the important thing about Blake's music is, as Stephen says, we do such an eclectic mix, but it's really music that moves you. There's always emotion in what we do, and I think voices in harmony bring an emotive quality.
It's really all about the voices. If you like hearing singers sing and sing in harmony, then come to a Blake concert.
Well, may I play what I think is a standout track on the album quickly now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more with you. From the new album, Start Over, this is a track from Paul McCartney. It's called Beautiful Night. Blake and Beautiful Night at BBC Wiltshire. I really like that track.
I love it too.
You've done that.
Favourites.
Beautiful, yeah. Really, really lovely. Look, our time is almost over, but as always, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll get you to sing next time as well, I think.
Why
not?
That's a promise.
Yes, why not? We'll do that. Before I let you go, during the recording of this album, you dined with one Tom Jones.
Oh, the legend.
Come on, tell us some stories. What was it like dining with the legend of Tom Jones?
He knew Elvis, apparently.
Yeah.
We discovered that.
Have I told you I knew Elvis?
I mean, I'm not joking. We were down in the legendary studios. Down near Box,
Real World
Studios, and Mr. or Sir Tom turned up and was recording in the studio next to us, and we had dinner with him that night. And
did you go out in Box for dinner?
No, we didn't. It's an amazing setup.
So it was actually in the studio.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. There's a beautiful house next to the studio, and there's this sort of big kitchen. You all eat together, and it was an extraordinary night. But I mean, within no word of a lie, within 2 minutes. He was there, sort of looking tanned, and like Tom Jones does. And he did turn to us and say, I knew Elvis, is a very good friend, Elvis.
Well, there was this incredibly sad moment when he'd listed off about 20 or so incredible people that he'd worked with at various times, and he just sighed, looked down at his plate, and went, most of them are dead now. I've got to be honest, I thought, poor guy, to have been at the top of your game for 50 years performing, and then everybody else is falling by the wayside. By the way, if you are in Box, this is a nice little fact that people don't know. There's a pub just round the corner from Real World Studios, and Peter Gabriel pops in there with his world musicians and does impromptu gigs all the time. So that's quite something to experience.
But we must say on the note of Tom Jones and other Welsh exports like Shirley Bassey, just what legends they are. I mean, Tom's still got the great voices, and obviously
I think his voice has got better.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Dame Shirley Bassey at the Oscars. I mean, she's sort of.
I know.
Adele was good, but I mean, Shirley Bassey blew everyone away. I mean, what a voice.
What an icon. Absolutely. Look, lovely to see you. Thanks so much for being on the show, Stephen, Ollie, Humphrey, Blake. The new album, check it out. It's called Start Over. It's available now. Check out iTunes. Check out Amazon, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.